alhamdulillah, we take that advantage. But Umar anhu knew that it's not just the judge who is judging, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is judging. And how can we do the most fair and equitable thing possible? Because the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are more than the rewards we'll win in a case or in a legal argument or settlement. Umar anhu, he also had a very, subhanAllah, very soft heart. And when he was also the leader of Medina and the Khalifa, there was one time, a lot of times it was his custom that he used to make rounds among the people. And so when he was making rounds among the people, he used to, go, like, no one would know who he is. He would sometimes go at night, just see what people are, talking about, listening about, he's just going around. And then one thing that was very, subhanAllah, interesting is that one time he was making his rounds at night and he overhears some crying, some shouting, or, something like that. And so, he passed by a lady and she had a child that was crying. And, she was, basically, saying that, what's it called? The child was crying because it wanted to be fed. And the mother was not feeding the child from herself. And, Umar anhu said, why are you not feeding that child? What's wrong? That child's crying and you're able to feed. Why are you not feeding the child? And she said, Amir al-Mu'mineen from the Baytul Mal, he ordered that we cannot receive any extra zakat money or anything until we wean the child away. So I'm not giving my child milk on purpose so I can benefit from the Baytul Mal and get that zakat because I'm too poor. Subhanallah. And Umar anhu was like so upset and distraught by this. And he immediately went and gave food and money to the kids, who were all trying to be weaned off. And the next day at Fajr time, people said that the Fajr Salat that he was reading, they couldn't understand what surah he was reading because he was just crying and crying and crying while he was reciting as the Imam. And at the very end, of the prayer, he was saying, "Oh Umar, how many, young children, how many babies are you the slaughterer of? How many young babies and children did you kill because you didn't have the foresight to give the zakat to those who are being breastfed?" Subhanallah, one amazing quality of the Sahaba is that they are very quick and very quick to suspect their own mistakes and their own weaknesses in their heart. And just as quick as they are to suspect themselves, they are even quicker to correct those mistakes and improve themselves as people. One other very beautiful, hadith, or I should say, like a story in the life of Umar who I want to narrate as well, is that, a lot of times, Umar would think about his past, days before he became Muslim. And if we think of the life of, Umar he was like very well renowned. He was very respected, very popular among, the people of Makkah. And so for him to accept Islam, would be like quite an insurmountable task to accomplish. And it was from the dua of the Prophet where he was asking for a few people to be, one of them to become Muslim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered the prayer, and Umar radiallahu anhu is the one who became Muslim. And he went from being this very angry, very, aggressive person who, na'udhu billah, wanted to even attack the Prophet. And then when he came to his own sister's house, and when he heard her reading the Quran, he was very moved. His heart had, turned the other way. And he thought, this is the truth. And when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not come in anger or aggression. He came with a soft heart and ready to accept Islam. And even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all the Muslims knew what an amazing gift to Islam that a powerful person like Umar anhu is. And one more very beautiful instance I want to narrate, just one more inshallah, that there was one time where there was a man among the Sahaba. He was fighting with his wife. They had an argument or something. There was a discussion, and he got very upset with her, and he's like, no, you're wrong, or whatever the case may be. And so he said, I'm going to ask Amir al-Mu'mineen, so let me go to him and we'll sort this out. So after he had been fighting with his wife, he came to Amir al-Mu'mineen, and as he was going to enter his house or enter the premises, he's overhearing something going on. And what he's overhearing is that the wife of Umar anhu is arguing with Umar anhu himself, and she is also just saying this, and you can tell he's not saying much in response. He's just taking it, and she's just saying this and saying that and complaining or arguing or whatever the case is. And you don't hear much from Omar. And so then the man was like, I'm just gonna, leave. I'm not gonna bother Amir al-Mu'mineen. So he's walking away. And so Umar anhu, he hears someone outside of his door. And he goes, he says, hey, you, he sees the person. He says, were you going to knock at my door? Were you going to ask me something? I'm available. And he said, I was gonna complain to you about my problems, but I think you and I are basically in the same boat. We have the same problem, so you can't really help me. Okay, you can't help my problem. And Umar anhu said, he brought him closer. He was saying, my wife, she is, the one who is, a blessing for me. She is the one who takes care of my children. She is the one who is able to, calm my mind and satisfy me and, be the beauty of my eyes. And, sometimes she goes through a lot of difficulties. And so if she is complaining to me, or if she is arguing with me, or she has a concern to voice to me, I owe it to her to listen very carefully. I owe it to her that, she has all these concerns and she's overwhelmed with many duties of the house. I need to be there and listen to her. She needs to be respected in that manner. And so that is like, another piece of the wisdom of Umar and, a wisdom for all of us, that we should be treating, our spouses with the greatest amount of, generosity, the greatest amount of, attention as well. Because, they sacrifice a lot for being with us. We sacrifice for them. And this should be a mutual respect and a mutual love that should be shared between us. My dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, I'll be closing with one more thought. Again, just to go back to the main theme, that why do we study the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum? That, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said they are like stars, and whoever follows them will be guided. This is, so important for our personal development as Muslims, to look at the beautiful examples that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has set along with his Sahaba, so we can learn from them and understand how to improve our own characters and our own selves, especially in this beautiful month of Ramadan, where we're making the extra effort, our hearts are extra soft. There's no reason, inshallah, we can improve to such a peak where, inshallah, this improvement is staying with us throughout the whole year, inshallah. And, to quote one of the beautiful, poems of Bilal, who's a very famous poet, Iqbal, a very famous poet, he talks about Umar in great depth, and he has a lot of admiration for him. And, he says a poem basically, which the translation is, Ya Umar, you used to be so pathetic. Your heart was full of fury and it was full of arrogance. But when you sat with your sister and you listened to her lovely recitation of Quran, you listened to a woman's recitation of Quran, your own sister, your heart melted for it and your life changed. And you went from being so despicable that you were about to kill the most beautiful face that ever walked this earth, and now you have the greatest honor of sleeping at his feet. Oh Allah, we ask you, from all of us, all those brothers and sisters here and across the globe, Ya Allah, please change our hearts as you did Amir al-Mu'mineen's, and give us the understanding and the strength to follow. Give us the understanding and the ability to improve our own character and make these changes last. And let us be more diligent about studying the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his beautiful companions.